None of you motherfuckers better not say, "Oh yeah, Lucy's hotter than fucking Soukaku." I'll kill you in the comments. Okay. All right. Anyways, today, as you can read in the title, if you can read, we're gonna talk about Lucy and Soukaku. Okay, two of the main flat attack increasers of the game, which being the only two flat attack buffers, they're extremely valuable for a team, right? Because it's literally just a flat DPS increase for everything, right? Like Ben Bigger gives this crit rate buff with his shield, right? But that's not. I mean, that is in a way a damage buff, right? That is a damage buff. Okay, but none of them, except for Lucy and Soukaku, no one else does the flat damage buff. Okay, and because of that, they're quite competitive with each other. Okay, so they're kind of controversial with each other as to which one is actually better. Okay, so let me get my talking points here. Okay, so let's point out some obvious stuff. Okay, both of them wants max attack. Okay, they want max attack so they can get their attack buff maximums. Okay, and Soukaku is easier to level, way easier to level compared to Lucy. Okay, because Soukaku, the only skill that matters is actually her core skill. This is the only thing that increases her buff. And core skills are actually quite a lot more easier to level because you just need some boss materials, right? You could up until A, B, and C. Up until C is quite easy to farm everything, maybe using under 80 energy, I would say. Okay. Compared to Lucy, she needs to max her special attack, which is still not too terrible. Okay, it's not too terrible, right? You do have to max more levels and get more of these chips, right? So investment wise, they're both very light. Okay, they're very similar in investment. They just need one skill to be good, pretty much. Okay, we'll get into skill leveling and their differences a bit later. Okay, and then let's get into the fact that Soukaku has no boars, right? She has no fucking little minions thingies. Okay, so Lucy has her little minions, which obviously is gonna add to the DPS. I haven't tested how much exactly, right? But I feel like it's not a small portion of DPS because they're always there, right? There's 3 boars and they always doing damage. They probably do some damage. Okay, and team pairing, obviously, they're both difficult characters to pair teams with. Okay, Soukaku only has her ice team, pretty much, right? That's all she has. No one else is currently in the Holo Special Operative Section 6, right? The next character that's gonna come out of this faction is probably gonna take a few months at least, right? It's gonna take until that Kitsune girl, right? That fox girl with the sword, right? So Soukaku's only team synergy is with Ellen and Lycon, right? Those two. That's it. And Lucy has a bit more. Lucy can work with Piper. I don't have Piper, but they're both from the biker gang, right? And Lucy works with Piper, and she obviously works with the element of fire. And the element of fire is actually quite a bit easier to pull than the element of ice, because aside from Soukaku, every single character ice is actually a 5-star, and Ellen being limited and Lycon being the best stunner in the game, right? And ice is like the most cracked out team comp right now, right? And everything is fucking weak to ice in a whole shield defense. You know exactly what Hoyoverse is doing, right? They want you to fucking pull for Ellen and shit, right? And it is pretty obvious. And so the best team in the game right now includes Soukaku. So I need to make this video to clarify to people that maybe that is actually diluting their opinion, or like, swaying their opinion on who actually is the best support. Alright, so let's dive in more in depth. Okay, so to clarify, I don't want people to say that Soukaku is bad. I'm just saying that Lucy is more versatile and she can be used in more teams and she is overall a better unit to invest in than Soukaku, okay? But I'm not saying that the peak of Soukaku is less than Lucy, because the peak of Soukaku is the fucking ice team, and it's the strongest damn team in the entire game, okay? So she is part of the most meta team in the entire game. I wanna clarify that before anyone writes in the comments, oh yeah, Soukaku pairs well. Okay, we know, okay, we know. Alright, so the elephant in the room, people think Soukaku is better, right? Because Lucy, Lucy actually just gives less buffs, and just straight up, right? Her max on her skill is a 600, while Soukaku's max on her skill is a 1000. That's almost half, right? That's almost twice better that Soukaku is, right? It's a 600, you're looking at 600, and you're looking at 1000. And that's a pretty big difference. If you can reach the cap, right? So obviously that's a pretty big difference. That's what everyone looks at, right? Everyone finds the easiest way to gauge characters, which is stats. But if you actually pay more attention, I would argue that the feel of your team and how clunky it is to operate also plays a huge part in how good a character actually is, right? So I'd say Lucy feels like 10 times better than Soukaku to play. Soukaku feels like dog shit to play. Let me tell you why, okay? Why does Soukaku feel like shit to play? Soukaku has such she has such a long field time compared to Lucy, right? Your main DPS is not out there when she's fucking when she's waving her flag around. I'm just gonna get into the training range right now with both of these characters. And you can see the team order. I need Soukaku to be on last because her buff is single target, and that is an important part that we're going to talk about later. So, basically, what I'm trying to say is, the visual is, you have to do 1, 2, 3, and, okay, I did an extra one, but that's 4, right? And then you get her buff. Like, everyone, you get the idea, right? That's Soukaku's thing. Now, how long was that? Okay, we're gonna put up a timer to how much that was on my video, okay, on after edit, okay? And then we're gonna look at Lucy, okay? This is how fast Lucy's buff comes out. That's it. That's how long, that's all she needs for all of her buff to come out. This is Lucy at maximum output right now. For Soukaku to be on maximum output, she needs to do 1, 2, 3, okay. I kind of fucked that up. I don't know, as you can see, I don't really use this character that much because I don't have Ellen, obviously. So you get the idea, right? You need to do the really, really clunky and slow waves before you can plant down your flag, right? And then you call in the support from your main DPS, right? You get the idea. Pretty simple, pretty simple. I'm sure you guys understand. And you can see Lucy's fucking little pigs are wailing at this thing. Let's get the double hand, right? And then we can see their follow-up attacks, right? That's another important part to field time that people don't really pay attention to. Okay, I don't want to say don't know because it's pretty obvious, right? I feel like everyone know, but they don't really pay attention to it, and it kind of eats into your clear time a lot. Okay, so we're gonna enable stunnable enemies on the double hand over here. We're gonna just try to stun them. I don't have a stunner here, so we're probably just gonna spam abilities. Alright, and he should be stunned here. Okay, so look at Soukaku. Look at how long her follow-up takes. This is how fast Lucy is. Immediately. Alright, we can look at that again. Okay, I'll replay it for you in the video, okay? You can see just how long Soukaku takes. Absolutely terrible. How long she takes on the field. Okay, it's just absolutely terrible. But Lucy, her you can see her thing only took, like, I've wagered not a second, right? Like I said, not a second. And her buff takes definitely not a second because you can do this, swap immediately. Like, if you want to do for a longer duration, which I recommend, right? You hold, shine, and then you switch, and it comes down. Super fast, okay? You can get back to your stunner if you need the invulnerability window, or you can get back to your damage to do your damage, right? The damage is all we fucking care about in this game because we need speed. Speed needs DPS. DPS is what? Damage. Okay? Lucy is quite a bit, I would say, quite a bit more dependent on her energy, right? As opposed to Soukaku. Soukaku can do her buff whenever, right? She can just, like, I can show you, right? I move in immediately. Not immediately, right? She's fucking slow as shit, like I said. But I can move her in and get the buff. Boom. Buff. It's up. So her minimal buff is up basically 100% with some sacrifice to your DPS uptime, right? You need to swap her in for like 3 seconds, and then she gets her buff down. Right? And I'm just gonna do the follow-up attacks. And then if I choose Soukaku here, look at this shit. Look at this shit. That's 5 seconds. Okay, that's not. Maybe that's not 5 seconds. 3 seconds at least. So long. So long. And Lucy absolutely fucking adores her energy, right? This. You need energy for the buff. You need energy for this buff. You need energy to do absolutely everything. Okay, so Lucy loves her energy, and she is either 0 or 100. This character is 0 or 100. Or maybe like a 5% or 100 because she has her little pigs, right? But let's just say her buff duration is 0 to 100. It's either 0, no damage buff at all, or 100% all of her output at the click of a button, right? I press E, 100% of her output immediately comes out, her potential, okay? So that's the main distinguishing fact between them. So team-wide damage buffs. Okay, I don't know if you guys noticed while using Soukaku, or like just playing the game in general, right? If you have a buff from a support character, I'll highlight it in the video. It's you see a little circle on the top left, right? You see a little circle. If you didn't know, then now you know, right? This little circle, you pay attention, right? You preferably ult and do all of your burst while your support buff is still up, right? It's pretty obvious because, you know, you get more damage and blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna explain that much, right? So, right now, you can see it's ticking down on my Soldier 11 right now, right? It's ticking down on my Soldier 11. And now the buff is gone. Okay, now, let's see that again. Let me swap to another character while it's ticking down. Okay, well, it's full duration. Let me swap to Lucy. Where did my buff go? Let me swap that back to Soukaku. Where did my buff go? It's only on Soldier 11. And then when I'm not on Soldier 11, I'm pretty sure it ticks down still. Right? Look, it still ticks down. Why is this bad? Okay, in a scenario like this team, like the Soldier 11 Dick Ride team, where you get 2 supports, this team doesn't work that well. But you know, it is something that I guess you could do, right? And I've done this before. Why is this bad for other teams other than this team comp? Is because in my other team comp, the Anton and Grace team comp, like, okay, I can show you, right? In my Anton and Grace team comp, I want both of them to be doing damage, and if I want both of them to get the buff, well, both of them, okay, not both of them can get the buff. Like, I want that to happen, but that's just fucking impossible. Alright, think about this. Soukaku buffs the character that comes in to assist. If, in this game, you could choose who assists, you know, maybe it's like Soukaku is busted, because you can buff whoever you want. Buff 2 people at once. But, you know, this game is actually logical and well made, because Soukaku is not broken. She plants down her flag, and if I put her on the 3rd slot, she only gives it to Grace. If I put her on the 2nd slot, she only gives it to Anton. And in a comp like it's a double carry comp, right? Grace hogs up a bunch of the field time. Anton also hogs up a bunch of the field time, and the remaining character, Soukaku, just does not want to use. Okay, first of all, they don't want to use a lot of field time. Soukaku does that. Okay, she uses a shit ton of field time, and she only buffs 1 person. Now let's take Grace, Anton, and Lucy. Okay, Lucy takes no field time. Both of my carries can have all of the field time they want, split between them evenly. Okay, or however you want to split it in the instance, right? However you deem fit. But you just get way more field time with Lucy. And also with Lucy, you buff both of them. You buff Grace and you buff Anton. So maybe it's less of a buff than Soukaku, right? But it kind of evens out, because if I give only 1,000 attack to Grace and nothing to Anton, then it's like, think about it, right? If I have the field time of Grace and Anton on a DPS window, Anton definitely has the majority. Okay, so on a DPS window, we benefit from Soukaku giving Anton a big damage buff. Okay, but normally it's always Grace. Okay, Grace wants to be on there and try to apply shock, and she has to throw a bunch of grenades. And Anton would like to be on the field, but he needs energy. Okay, so we put him, we put him on the bench and let him fucking rest. Okay, so I'd say their field time is pretty even, right? I'd say maybe like a 40-60 or like a 50-50. Let's just say, for the purposes of this video, let's say it's a 50-50. I have 50% of the time I have Grace up, and 50% of the other time I have Anton up. Okay, so if I max out my Lucy hypothetically, both of them get 600 attack, right? In her buff, both of them get 600 attack, and Soukaku can only give 1,000 attack to one person. So we're actually winning out by using Lucy here, right? And Lucy has less field time. First of all, we're actually winning out because she gives more damage. Because Grace gets damaged, Anton gets damaged, so overall that's more damage, right? It's 600 on her, flat. It's not a percentage increase, right? It's flat on her and flat on him. So we just get 200 extra attack, pretty much. She gives 1,000 to one of them, right? Like, you can do the math, right? It's pretty obvious 1,200 is bigger than 1,000, right? So in some instances, Lucy can actually just flat out just give more benefits, like attack benefits, to the team, not just her field time and stuff, right? Okay, so overall, I think both of them are very flexible for teams, because if you pay attention, their support passives actually almost don't do jack shit. Okay, not for Soukaku, Ice Team. Not for Soukaku, Ice Team, but both of them almost don't give a jack shit. Lucy's thing is increasing her boar's damage, which is like a tiny bit more damage, right? No one really cares about her boars. No one plays Lucy is like, oh, I think the boars do a lot of damage. No, they don't do a lot of damage. They just do some chip, right? And they're cute to look at, I guess. Everyone plays her for the damage buff. Okay, so this doesn't really matter. This doesn't impact the core character utilization of Lucy at all. And let's look at Soukaku. Soukaku is the ice damage buff. Now, what's ice damage buff to a team that doesn't use ice damage? It's nothing, right? So you don't need this. Basically, this only matters if your DPS is ice and your team is ice, right? And then she gets an extra big benefit for being on that team. But if it's not, then like there's actually no point in having this passive. When Zhu comes out, her faction bonuses is actually different. She doesn't need ether, okay? Even though Nicole is probably still gonna be the best support for her. Nicole is ether, and then ether build up and blah blah blah, all that, right? Same element, it's good, right? Same element is good because we want to specialize our teams for our shield defense. Anyways, so this passive, when you activate it with someone that doesn't do ice damage, that's someone that's not ice, it's as good as not activated. This doesn't do anything if you don't do ice damage, right? Because Julian activates with support units. Okay, you understand? You get my idea. You get the idea. Okay, so both of her passives are pretty much not very useful. Okay, they're not very well. It's not very fair to say that's not useful, right? 20% ice damage buff is pretty fucking big, but in a team that does not use ice, it's not very useful. And this is straight up just not very useful. Okay, so there's one last point I want to point out that is important, and a lot of people like to overlook. Okay, so if your main damage, okay, let's say my soldier 11 is on field, and I swap into parry with my second character. Like if I have Ambi on second, Ambi will come in and she will parry. Right? Everyone knows that. Okay, very obvious. But it's the second character that has to parry, right? So if I have Lucy on second, that means she has to parry. If I have Soukaku on second, that means she has to parry. Okay, and most of the time, Soukaku will not be doing any parrying. Okay, building Soukaku is extremely easy compared to Lucy, right? Let me clarify. So Soukaku does not need to level up her assist, because assists account for her parrying days multiplier, right? If you didn't know that, very important to know. This assist key is not just quick assist, right? It's also their defensive assist, which is the parry. So in team comp, okay, like Soukaku will never be second, right? She will never be second because your main damage has to be 1, she has to be 3 because of her quirk. She has to be right after the damage, so the damage can get the buff that she's giving, right? So there's no world where Soukaku is parrying, pretty much. Okay, so the character right after your damage, which is probably your stunner, is gonna be parrying. Okay, Soukaku can parry. We just don't rely on her to parry, right? It's not optimal for her to parry. What's optimal? Who's optimal to parry is your stunner, obviously, because we want all the days. So if Ambi parries, it's a huge chunk of days. If Soukaku parries, it's like nothing, right? Now here comes Lucy. Lucy can be put in second or third, more flexible than Soukaku, right? So she can put second place or third place. If you put her second place, because you have maybe you have Soukaku on last place, right? If you want her second place, you have to level up her days. Okay, it really matters. Our stun windows in this game matter a lot. It increases our damage by like a considerable amount. And here's a tangent, right? I don't think a lot of people pay attention to this, but do you ever pay attention to the bottom right bar of your assist they talked about at the very start of the game, where when every single time you parry, you take a charge out of your bottom right. Right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I can go ahead and show you. Okay, so the idea is you need to get stuns off. Okay, and for what reason, you might ask? So you see I'm going to zoom in. You see the low. We get 6 assists, right? And if we parry this, turns to 5. Parry him again, 4. We dodge with grace. We have 3 now. You get the idea. It gets less and less. And some people may just like, oh, dude, I parried that. Why did I not parry? Because you don't have a charge left. Okay, you can't do assist anymore. I've seen some of my friends do that, and it's like, yeah, no, you can't do that. So I'm gonna run out here. All right, I'm gonna run out of assist here, and you're gonna see that I can't parry anymore. Or its yellow attacks are gonna start turning blue. I mean, not blue. Turning red. Like let them attack. That's red. Okay, I can only dodge now. I can't do the parry and the stun and the damage anymore. It's only dodging. Okay, and you can dodge by yourself anyways, like this. So there's really no point to it. So if you haven't been paying attention to the game, how you get it back is actually you break them, and then you hit follow-up attacks on them to get it back. So in Shiyu defense normally, we get a bunch of follow-up attacks. And we can replenish a bunch of these assist charges just by stunning them, right? And then if we have a normal amount of stun level, if you have Ambi, if you have Lycon, if you have Coleto, if you have any sort of stun, a good amount of stun in your team, you won't even notice this feature. But once you start running teams with no stun, you start realizing, shit, dude, I have no parries. And with no parries, I can't even get stuns off, right? It's like a reverse diminishing returns. the more you don't have stun, the less stun you actually have, right? It sounds fucking stupid, but sometimes you're like, okay, I can tough it out if I just parry a lot. It doesn't work like that, right? We need to break them. We need to break them to get more parries in. So, daze is very important in this game. And if you have Lucy in your second, she takes a little bit more investment because you want that daze in. And this is the reason why I swapped from a Soldier 11 Lucy Soukaku team comp, which is like hyper carry Soldier 11, to Soldier 11 Bin Bigger Lucy, right? I really enjoyed playing this, right? But I didn't enjoy how long it fucking took Soukaku to get her shit out. And the window I had to work with DPS was super low because I had no stun, right? By having Bin Bigger still has a decent buff. If you pair him up with fire, he gives 16% crit rate. That's not bad. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty damn good. Most important thing is he can stun. All right, he can be played as a semi-stunner. A Bin Bigger is like really weird. He's the only shielder in the game currently, right? He's like a support, defensive support, right? That's what he is. He's defensive. He can shield. He can buff. And he can do stun, right? He's kind of like an all-rounder that does nothing really exceptionally well. Okay, I don't think he's that great of a character. I'd much rather have Colada on my second slot, but I don't have Colada, so I have to use Bin Bigger to stun. And after ranting for let's see how long we're recording, for like 30 minutes, maybe you have a better idea of who you like better, Lucy or Soukaku. Okay, and I'll probably make more of these videos when Julian comes out because I have actually a fiendish amount of polos saved up for Julian. Guys, I am guaranteed Julian, okay? I'm gonna be the first person, or like one of the first people to play Julian and give you play, and we got to play Julian in the story, right? I'm gonna be one of the first people to start building Julian, okay? And I'll let you know how it goes, okay? I'll give you a bunch of opinionated videos if you guys do so desire to hear them, okay? And if you don't want to hear them, not too bad. I'm just gonna fucking post this here because I want to talk about this game, alright? And this game's good. Alright, that's about it. Please do not fight over lollies, okay, in my comments. I will kill you. Alright, see you.